This is the Stockwell Eldridge Show, giving you the real-time information you need to make educated decisions about buying and selling in the world-renowned Twin Cities. Now your hosts and real estate experts, Jason Stockwell and Don Eldridge.
Good morning, Minneapolis, St. Paul. Welcome to the Stockwell Eldridge Show every Sunday, 10 a.m. here on AM 1280 The Patriot. I'm Jason.
And I'm Dawn. And by the way, happy Mother's Day, Mom. Happy Mother's Day, Katie. Hope you guys are having a great morning. And happy Mother's Day to all the other moms out there, too.
Yes, happy Mother's Day, Mom, and happy Mother's Day, Katie. Thank you. And Dawn, happy Mother's Day as well.
Thank you.
We're airing earlier, so if you're checking us out on YouTube, this is prior to Mother's Day, but we have a great show for you today. And the timing couldn't be better for the show because the weather's turning and it's getting nice, and we're getting sunny days and nice days here. So we're looking forward to the summer. And our show today is going to be centered around solar energy and solar panels and what that means to you in your house, how you can afford it, or is it worth it to do? Does it work in the Midwest? The new stuff we can talk about that Tesla's owner's putting out with the solar shingles. So we have a great show for you in regards to that. We have two experts on this, I would say. One really good expert and one kind of, no offense to Steve, pseudo-expert on this.
Pseudo.
But we have Steve Furlong with Mortgages Unlimited. Welcome, Steve.
Thank you.
And we have Justin Arneson. Did I say that correct?
Arneson, yep.
Oh.
That's all right.
Arneson.
You should always check with me before you list off the names.
He is with All Energy Solar, which is a company that does solar technology. We met Justin when we were live from the convention center for the Minneapolis Remodel Expo.
He was in the audience, right, watching us, and you got our autographs afterwards?
Oh, of course, yep.
I sought him out, actually, when I was walking around, because I go around and meet a lot of the vendors that are there and then see what they're into. And then his was solar, and I said, I started talking with him about solar, and he had a bunch of pictures up and looked really cool.
Yep.
So thanks for being here, guys. So, folks, we'll get into a lot of conversation with Justin and Steve. First, we want to go over the market update, what's happening in the Twin Cities. Still great, in my opinion, as far as the market conditions for sellers and buyers. I hope now, if you're a buyer or if you know someone who's buying, you're finally able to get a property or are able to get a property if you've been losing out, because the more you try, you'll learn from that, and then you'll find another one and more properties. Hopefully, I don't know, Dawn has the statistics, but hopefully there's more inventory for you to choose from. We'll see what the numbers say, Dawn. Go.
Well, new listings increased 4.7% from this time last year. So 2,037 homes came on the market this last week.
Nice. That's a good number.
Yep, in the Twin Cities, I should clarify. Also, pending sales, they decreased to 9.8%, so down to 1,409 pending sales in the Twin Cities. And once again, inventory decreased 21.5% from this time last year. We're at 10,625 homes in inventory.
Yep, so 10,000. So still, the number's still too low for a supply of homes on there, and you saw at the end of April, we had an increase. So we had a large number of homes come on the market at the end of April. But when you see 2,000 homes come on the market and 1,400 of them go pending, or 1,400 homes come off and 2,000 come on, it's a net gain of 600 homes available, which isn't enough. So that number still needs to be higher. So sellers, please get out there, contact us, get your homes on the market now. It's the best time you're going to have, that you will have now from the past 10 years, in my opinion. Who knows what the future holds, but it's a really, really good time. And also what I would say is, even though prices are going up, we said this on past shows, you can ask more, obviously, than you could 10 years ago. That's great news that it's going up. Yes, we got our fans applauding on that. But you can ask more, but don't be too greedy. Same thing goes in anything. Same thing as a buyer. If you're going in and putting an offer in, don't be too greedy on your offer, because you probably will lose the property if you start too low on your offer. And then if you're a seller, don't be too greedy on your price, because there's, believe it or not, some of these homes, even though a lot of them are selling, some are not selling. And usually that comes down to the price or the condition or the marketing of the property.
Yep, I've had a few sellers make that mistake where they've overpriced their property, even though we talked about what it should be at, and they're still sitting on the market. Great homes, but buyers
and they're getting showings, right? They're still getting showings.
But the buyers recognize that all of our feedback is it's high. And the other thing, to your point about coming in as a buyer under list, especially if you know that you're in multiple offers. Got multiple offers on one of my listings, and the difference between the offers was $30,000. The other one came in at full price, but the other one came in $10,000 under plus requested about $10,000 in closing costs.
Wow.
And so they did not get the property. And the agent actually reached out to me and was like, "Hey, can you send me an email, please?" Just a very honest email, because
Saying this is ridiculous.
Yep,
No, just
some buyers aren't paying attention to the market. It's not a lowball
You know,
market.
I don't mind sometimes. I don't mind the lowball offers that come in on a multiple offer situation, because it helps the seller as a listing agent. It helps us, because if you have an offer and it's fairly good, and then someone else throws a lowball in on your property, then the seller can say, "Hey, let's call highest and best," and you just got the good offer to come up, so you end up making more money. So you're not only not going to get the property if you're low, but you're also helping the seller get more money. Maybe you want to do that, or maybe you don't. Or you're hurting another buyer and making them pay more than they maybe could have or would have had to pay on the
true.
property. But
Yeah.
anyway.
I was surprised. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I haven't seen that yet this year." So
Low
with
ones?
the
Oh,
low
I've
balls,
seen low
yes.
ones. I've seen a lot of low ones. But
Well, I bet you do.
That would probably
Yes.
be me.
They,
I'll probably do the low one.
yeah.
I'm looking for a house too, renting in Minneapolis. So I'm at the beginning phases of everything, but we'll see what happens. Me and my two roommates are looking elsewhere, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's you can do low, but you got to have a strategy behind it, and you got to make sure it's the right property. If it's 2 days on the market, and probably not going to fly. But
Right.
you got to be smart about how you do it and what ones you do, and then maybe do some ahead of time research on your agent's end, because then they can feel that out before just sending it in. I get so many offers where no one calls, no one emails, nothing is discussed or even reached out to me as a listing agent on the property, and then this offer just comes in, right? There's a lot of things that could have been discussed prior to the offer coming in that would have helped that buyer. Now I have an offer in hand. I present it to the seller, and it may be offensive, and it may start the negotiations off on a bad foot, or it may go zero, nowhere, just stalled in place. So if you make sure that the agent is doing that front end dialogue and having some rationale and some reasoning and some dialogue ahead of time. And maybe the agent will then come back and say, "Hey, you know what, let's not even bother. This is a complete waste of time. I talked to the listing agent. They told me this or XYZ about the seller situation. We either need to be here or not even write this."
Don't even try.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Well, and also as a listing agent, if you get an offer in, and I think it's important as a listing agent to call the person that gave you, the buyer's agent, to have a discussion as well. Hey, is this closing date important? Are closing costs important? Because if they haven't reached out to you up front, then
yeah.
as a listing agent, you should.
And
be
then
doing
that starts
as
a
well.
whole nother show of how do you get in contact with agents sometimes, because sometimes you may not be able to get in contact with some agents.
I've had
so.
some that will not answer my phone call while we're in the middle of a very hot negotiation.
My favorite is when I when I look on the MLS and I see the comments. And the agent, we have our own internal agent comments. So you out there in the public, when you're looking at properties, you do not see these comments. Probably a good thing in some cases, but it says no calls, no texts, only email on any questions or anything like that. Or it'll say no emails, only text, or no phone call. You see all these language, like, in other words, don't contact me whatsoever about this, is what they're saying, basically.
Oh, my other favorite is I will only respond between the hours of 9 to 5, Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you doing on the weekend? That's really when we're supposed to be.
That's when a lot of activity
yeah.
is going on. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Some of that could be seller derived, but I don't think it is. I think a lot of it is directed by the agent. But,
Yep, I agree.
So there's some tips. Reach out to us anytime, 651-400-0773, 651-400-0773. We're happy to help. If you're a buyer or a seller, we have access to a lot of properties that are not on the market, dozens of them actually that are not on the market yet. So if you're a buyer struggling, reach out to us. If you're a seller and your home isn't selling and something's wrong, reach out to us and we'll give you no cost, no obligation information. And maybe you can have us try it the next time and be successful as a seller. If you're thinking about selling, I would move quicker than later if you could, if it is something you're planning on doing in 2017. TCRealestateHour.com is the website, TCRealestateHour.com, and then you can find us on YouTube, see what all of us look like, and watch us on YouTube if you're looking for something to do. Because Bill O'Reilly's not on anymore, so you can maybe watch us instead.
Oh,
we
Jason.
we have
That was pretty shocking.
that was
see him
very
gone.
shocking.
I was like,
I couldn't
whoa.
believe it, actually.
Yeah.
It was
That was a huge move.
stunner.
Woo.
Steve, not a lot of time I'm going to give you here, but I'll give you a little bit on Economic Observer said no surprises from the Fed. There are no surprises in Wednesday's Fed meeting. They did not raise rates. There's still a 70% chance they will raise rates in June as expected. What do you think on that, Stephen? What's happening in the mortgage world?
You're going to put me on the spot because it's been so busy with the recent uptick in mortgage purchase applications because of the increased inventory we just had. We just had a bunch of new homes come on the market, as you just talked about.
Yes.
And we had
All
lot
those
of
buyers were in the queue waiting.
We had them in the queue. Yeah. We've had pre-approved buyers since January that have been looking for the right house, actively out looking all the time, and finally they're finding some of those. So that kept us busy the last few weeks. It's been a little nuts.
Good, really good.
As we saw, the Fed raised the rates already 0.25% this year, and mortgage rates actually went down a little bit after that happened. So we're not too concerned about the Fed raising their target rate, which raises the prime rate. Of course, the two are tied together. We don't know that will necessarily result in higher rates, but nobody knows for sure what's going to happen.
Okay, so for the general public that don't totally speak mortgageese,
And
why is it that when the Feds increased the rate, mortgage rates did not go up?
So mortgage rates are based on a different marketplace than the Treasury bonds. The U.S. Treasury bonds are directly tied to mortgage rates because investors have a choice. They can buy a mortgage security or they can buy a Treasury bond. And so there's generally I'll try to keep this basic, but those two are very closely related, but the Fed target rate doesn't control what those other rates are. It has an influence, but it's a little bit removed. Kind of like, the Hong Kong market has a little bit of influence on our market, but they're not directly correlated. So it isn't that when Fed raises their rates that mortgage rates will follow for sure.
I think that's twice that I remember in the recent history where the Fed funds rate went up, but then mortgage rates tailed down after that.
Yeah, it's a complex system, so
yeah.
it's really hard for the average person to
That's why I'm not
read
a lender.
through all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I try not to get worried about where rates are going. I try to look at what are the rates right now, what are the opportunities right now, and the opportunities right now, if you can find the right house or one that's close to being right. And we're going to talk about making it perfect in a little bit, but if you can find one that's close, it's a great opportunity right now.
Yeah,
Good.
rates
All
are
good
great,
news.
and finally some sellers are coming out of the woodwork. So we'll be back with more solar, all about the sun. We'll be back with more. Thanks for listening, folks.